So, Tony, I know that winning the Daytona 500, Indy 500 is a game changer for drivers, but becoming a father, that's a freaking life changer. Now we're 5 months into Dominic's life on this planet. And I asked this because it's familiar. Granted, Henley's 11 years old, but I remember when she was born that things just changed for me, where milestones just changed. They were different. And I've heard this asked of you over the last 24 hours. Have you been able to realize really what you've done in the NHRA? I'm asking something different. Does this first in the NHRA with the Top Fuel win feel different now that you're a father versus all the other firsts in NASCAR, IndyCar, and sprint cars?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's, you get done with the run, you get to the top end, they do the interview, and then they throw all the winners in the back of a pickup truck and they bring them down to a aluminum stage that they set up really quick after the finals. And the drivers go up there, they do an interview, and the fans get to come on the track and be around the stage and be a part of it. And I'm doing my interview, and Jason turns his head to the left and looks over his shoulder, and it's Leah walking up the steps of that stage with Dominic. And I literally about lost my shit.
Yep.
So it definitely was a game changer for sure. And then, having him in victory lane, and, we've always taken our dogs to victory lane and taken photos with them. And to have not only Leah and Dom there, but my dad in that photo and be in some of those photos together. I mean, that is something that for my dad and for Leah and I, and Dom's not going to remember this day, obviously, but he'll have photos of it down the road. And, I'm not going to lie. There's a part of it when we had Dom that I'm like, that he's never going to see me run a cup race and win a cup race or a championship. He's never going to see me win an IndyCar race or championship. Never going to see me win the Triple Crown. And I don't, who knows what I'm going to drive the rest of my life, but, may or may not see any of it. And just having him there for that moment, even though he's not going to remember, just to have the photos that he was there when I won a race, for me as his father, means a lot to me, more than I ever thought it would.
Freak Nation, his name is Tony Stewart, joining us here in the Freak Nation Lucas Oil Studios. And it sounds like you're in the same place where I am, where any given moment, you mention Dominic's name, you mention Henley's name, I'll just start bawling. It is, which is special, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think that's the great thing about my relationship with Leah and how my life's changed since I've met her. And, this morning it's, we had a rough day yesterday, went to San Antonio to a close friend's wife's funeral yesterday, and didn't really get to celebrate like we wanted to Sunday night because we had to fly to San Antonio. But this morning, waking up and Leah's feeding Dom and then puts him in the center of the bed in between us while we're kind of waking up and getting ready to start our day. I didn't think one moment about the funeral from the day before. I wasn't thinking about the win from Sunday. Just thinking about my son and my wife and my family. And that's, I know this is for everybody that's watching this, they're going, what's the big deal? I mean, we all do that. Well, yeah, you're right. It took me 53 years to get to this part though. And everything else that I did was focused on how do I win races and try to contend for race wins and championships. It wasn't about being married. It wasn't about starting a family. And, now today is a perfect example of how much my life's changed, where you look over and you're not thinking about anything but your family, and, seeing your wife smile and seeing your son look over first thing in the morning and look over and just smile from ear to ear. It changes you.
It does change you. But I also remember all of those comments of, well, not only when are you going to have a kid, but it changes your life. You're never going to realize it. It's actually true. And I don't know if that's because, like you, Tony, Kenny and I were older. Like, I was in my 40s. Kenny was in his 50s when we had Henley. And I don't know if the perspective was just different, and that you're right. We put our playtime and our work focus time behind us, and now it's family time. There's still work and there's still that sort of focus, but every decision made in the business, in racing, in everything is kid related, is Henley related, is Dom related. Is that true for you too?
Yeah, I jokingly tell people, I say we live in a very nice prison here in Lake Havasu City, and the warden is 4.5 months old. So he runs the show around here, and Leah and I have talked about it lately. It's like we're trying to get back to somewhat having our life back, but it all does revolve around him and his schedules and where he's at in the day. So, it's just part of it. It's like, as much as we don't even get angry about it, it's like, man, one day we're going to get back to what we used to do. And you talk about being older parents. I mean, being 53 and Leah's 36 right now. I mean, we are kind of set in our ways and what we like and what we dislike and what our days look like. But we don't even get upset about it. We just sit there and go, yeah, this is what we signed up for, just like everybody else. But I think when young adults are in their, 20 or early 20s, I mean, their life is evolving and they're starting to create those patterns. When you throw a child in that mix, that's just becomes a part of that routine where we're kind of old. It's kind of the teaching, guys, got a fly that's sitting there trying to fight with me. This day's over. He'll be done. But I think for us, we're all set in our ways, and then it's all of a sudden you're trying to throw something into the routine that's not part of your normal routine. But man, we're loving the process of it, and every couple of days there's something that changes with him that I love looking for. And but I can tell you there was nothing like that feeling when she brought him up on that stage, and when she brought him to the car to get photos made. That was a pretty cool deal.
Okay, he had a onesie on that said "Dad's first win." Babies grow fast. How many of those damn onesies did you have made? You had to have one for 3 months, one for 6 months, one for 9 months.
I think one of our close friends had that made, and the cool thing was what was on the back of it too, because it had hashtag "This Family Wins," and that's something that my niece, when she was younger, showed horses, and my nephew he got into go-kart racing for a year and a half, and then he went to mountain bike racing. And I always told both my niece and nephew, I said, remember something, this family wins. And I remember the first time that Leah came to our family Christmas, and it wasn't me that said it. My niece walked over and she put her hand on her shoulder and she goes, listen, this family wins. So to see that on his onesie was pretty cool. That kind of something fun that we all say. And obviously Leah being a part of the family now, my niece was saying, listen, you're part of this family, and this family's expected to win, so you better live up to it. So I just thought it was cool on his onesie, and just made the experience Sunday after the race that much better. I've told people here this over the last 24 hours, really, that it kind of reminded me of 2009. It wasn't about me leaving Joe Gibbs Racing and starting a team with 2 cars, 34th and 36th in points that, could barely get guaranteed spots for the race. When we won the All-Star race there in May with Stewart Haas Racing, and guys were there crying in victory lane, I'm like, what is everybody crying about? And in my mind, all I'm thinking about is all these people said I was going to fail, that I wasn't going to win another race in my career, and we wouldn't be successful. And my attention went from that to what's wrong with these guys. And somebody told me, they said, these guys have never won a cup race before. And I'm like, holy crap, I'd never thought about it. And I think it was really the first time in my life that a win mattered to me more for the guys than it did myself. And it was that way again on Sunday. I mean, almost all these guys have won a race with different teams, but we haven't won a race together. And what I didn't realize is how much of a burden that everybody on the team, I knew Mike Domagala and our crew chief, Neil Straussbaugh, those are our crew chiefs. I knew for Neil in particular, because I knew Neil when she was the co-crew chief when he was the co-crew chief on Leah's car at DSR. And when he came over, just the stress of working for me and the expectations of what we have done with our race teams, getting that first win for TSR with Leah was a big deal to him. But then the added pressure of not only working for TSR, but having the boss drive the car, the pressure that put on him. I knew what that felt like, but being there to celebrate it with Leah and Dom was probably second best. And for myself personally was third on the list. So it's kind of cool that it was a different feel than what you would expect.
Tony, that's where I was going to go with this. I took a step back and I saw Leah's excitement. And if you look at what she's had to go through to get to this point, the struggles to end up with a top-notch NHRA team. She's there. She's winning races. All of a sudden, she's out of a car having a baby. Watching that car go down the track and win, this isn't rhetorical either. Was this win bigger for Leah than it was for you?
I think personally it was, yes. I think she has she understands the sport so much better than I do, obviously. I mean, I've only been involved in it 5 years with her, but I think, and we haven't really talked about it. I mean, this morning she woke up and as much as I thought she was going to be in a great mood, she's just overwhelmed. I mean, she is the concrete foundation of our family. She's the one that's making decisions. She's organizing schedules, where we're eating dinner, all these things. And she's just, after a long weekend with a lot of people at the track, she just ran out of gas. And I had the funeral yesterday. So we haven't even had a chance to debrief over the weekend. I literally left Sunday night and left her in Vegas, and I had to fly to Texas. But I literally think for her, she has wanted me to win a race so bad for me. She wants it for me. I want it for all of us. The thing that's really fun is you win the race, you go to the top end, you never get to see what's going on at the starting line until you see a video of it, and seeing their reaction and seeing the reaction on her face. I mean, I literally was on the plane when I finally got to see that video, and I'm not embarrassed to say I cried on the plane watching her reaction. It meant so much to me, and to see her that excited. It's about all of us, and she just so bad wanted me to win a race because she knows how hard the team's trying. She knows how much effort and attention I'm putting into what I'm doing as a driver. She just wanted to see it pay off finally. So, I think that was the reaction that we saw from her. And that's just another reason why I love her so much.
And any motorsport is extremely nuanced. There's so many little details that have to click on a race day in order to equal a win at the end of the day. But NHRA especially, so many minute details. And Tony, you did this essentially, I mean, with everything else combined, you did this on the tree. This was you 100%. You knocked that tree out of the stratosphere and went on to this win. That's really saying something too.
Yeah, until the finals. So first 2 rounds, yes, I did. I mean, I got my first hole shot win in round 1. I'm still a little confused on what they call it. I mean, Justin Ashley had a better reaction time, but we beat him to the line to win the second round. But we beat Steve Torrance on a hole shot in the second round too.
Yeah.
So we won our first 2. We outright won the first 2 rounds. We weren't second place and got to advance. We won both rounds, but in the finals, I cut an 082 light, which was the worst of the day for me. I knew when I hit the gas, I was late. I was sitting there wishing that thing down the racetrack, and I said, "Like, come on!" I'm like, "Thank God!" And then it goes to the crew chief. I mean, that's Neil and that's Mike that gave us a car to drive by those guys in the finals. So everybody on the team had a moment during the day where they shined, and I shined in the first couple rounds, and Neil and Mike shined with that race car in the finals and got us the win. So I mean, that's a total team effort. That's what drag racing is about. It's yes. I'm used to being the guy that is the determining factor, and the only way I can do that in drag racing is on the light. So I'm just proud for all of us that it all worked out the way it did, and we all had that moment in the day that saved it. Drag racing is so unique versus NASCAR and IndyCar and sprint car racing. You mess up a lap in those 3, you got multiple laps to get it back. You mess up a lap in this thing, you're done for the day. You're loading up and going home. So you have to, in the 4 wides, you got to put 3 solid rounds together. In a traditional drag race that we normally do the majority of the season, you got to have 4 rounds, and you got to do it right 4 times to win that trophy. So it's tough. It is tough to win at this level.
Hey, Tony, there are a number of drivers that have come through the Freak Nation, funny car drivers specifically. Robert Height was one of them, that they don't like the 4 wide nationals. They think it's kind of gimmicky, but from what I hear from you, you're loving these 4 wides. Where's the chasm there?
I don't know if he said love.
Okay, well, you enjoy the 4 wides.
He's right. I do love it. It's I think for me, it reminds me of short track racing. It's like going to a sprint car race, and you don't have to win the heat race. You just got to finish in the top 3 or 4 spots to transfer. So for us in drag racing, the 4 wide races, you don't have to win your quad. You just got to finish in the top 2 to go to the next round. Second round, you got to finish in the top 2 to get to the finals. And then in the finals, you're racing for the money. But I think a lot of times, for a lot of the drivers that don't like it, and at first I think they thought it was gimmicky. I mean, now we got 3 races on the schedule this year. Both of the Charlotte races are 4 wide events, and one of those is in the countdown in the fall. So they're going to pay more attention to these 4 wides, obviously. But I think a lot of times, I mean, they're so disciplined in drag racing about the routine and their procedures and how they stage and everything that they do. And it's just one versus another. But now you throw a 4-wide in there. Now it's somewhat chaotic, because it's chaotic for the tuners and the crew chiefs when they're up there staging you and making the final adjustment to get you in there. And then for the drivers, now you've got to pay even extra attention to what lane you're in. If you're in lane 1 and lane 4, it's a lot easier because you're looking at the far left or far right bulb. Those drivers in lanes 2 and 3 have to be on top of it. And it sounds so easy to sit there and go, well, you know, you're in lane 2, just look at the lane 2 bulb. It's the second one from the left. If you're in lane 3, it's the third one from the left. It's not that hard, but there's so much going on up there. And you're thinking about the cadence of the procedure because you're burning fuel, which is taking nose weight off the car. There's so many variables that the fans don't think about. But I think that's why the drivers not all of them embrace it. There's a lot of them that don't like it because it's just more chaotic with the staging and the lights. But I mean, and the reality of it too is, I mean, it's one less round to get to the finals. But when you get to the finals, it's not just one guy. You got to beat 3 guys to win the race. And I'm sure that's part of the reason they don't like it as well.
With all the emotion that has gone on with this win, your first NHRA Top Fuel win, is this the most emotional experience you've had in motorsports? And if not, what kind of came close to this?
I think it does, but for different reasons. I mean, there were a lot of reasons Sunday. I mean, obviously, having one of our sponsors that's a close personal friend of mine to lose his wife the week of the race last week. And then literally 15 minutes before we rolled up for the finals, one of my best friends in Bakersfield, California, sent me a text message that his father passed away. And, to sit there and have to focus and go do your job. And, you win the race, and the immediate celebration, you're thinking about the win and what it means to you and what it means to the team and the sport and everything about it. And then by the time you get down and you're doing that second stage appearance where, the fans are coming around and Leah comes up with Dom, you're thinking about, oh my gosh, my family, this isn't about me and it's not just about the team. It's now my first experience outside of Leah and I of us having a family, and she brings Dom up there and losing it, and then going to do the photos with the team in the car, and Dad and my wife and Dom are there, and just the whole family atmosphere of it. It just kept changing perspectives. But it's just crazy how, it was very special just for very different reasons than before. I still think the 2011 NASCAR Cup Championship and the USAC Triple Crown, the night that we secured the Triple Crown in USAC, those 2 events with the Homestead race and that are hard to beat. They're just extremely hard to beat. Everything it took to run 3 different classes all year and race for 3 national championships and win all 3 of those was unreal. And then the drama and the challenge to win that race at Homestead. I mean, there was enough drama in that Homestead race for 5 races. And it all happens in one race, and literally win the race. Carl runs second. We tie in the points, and we win it on a tiebreaker because of the events that we won in the playoffs. So
right.
It's hard to beat those 2, but this one had that same level of intensity, but just for way different reasons.
Wow.
One last thing, maybe, is
maybe.
Maybe. You're saying it without saying it, Tony. You're at an age, I'm at an age now where we lie in bed and we think about things we didn't think about 20 years ago. And I know it's the wife of the owner of Rush that passed away, right?
Yep.
Your friend passes away. John Edwards passes away. I think of our friendships throughout the last 25 years of doing SpeedFreaks, of individuals that are gone. And when I see Mike Arning next time, I'm going to hug him, I'm going to hug the son of a bitch. But once I get up and I see that 11-year-old, it's like, thank God I've got that little kid to hang my day on, because I think horrible thoughts before I go to sleep, man.
Well, I even joke around and tell people I'm going to have to put Dominic on salary with the race team. They're like, well, he can't do anything. I'm like, well, he kind of does. I mean, we went to Bradenton for the pro event earlier this year, and we made 14 runs over the course of the 5 days. I mean, the first 2.5 days are testing, and then the last 2.5 days of the event. Made 14 runs, and it made it down the racetrack. 2 full runs and 1 planned shutoff run where we shut it off early. The rest of them were all aborted runs. And we had a little bit of a break and had enough time. I was done with my work. I said, I'm going to go back to the motorhome real quick and grab a sandwich. And I went back there and I went in the front door and he was in his bassinet right at the top of the steps. And I remember looking over there and I was so frustrated and so mad. And I'm like, I don't know what to do to fix this. And I looked down in there and he rolled his head over and looked up and just smiled. And I forgot about the run that we just had and forgot how frustrated I was. And it's like, so when somebody says, what do you mean he needs to have a salary? I'm like, he's the emotional support human on this race team.
Yes,
and
yes.
It is so different. You know, other forms of motorsports, like I said, you got multiple laps to get where you need to be and where you want to be. Drag racing, it's one and done. You make a mistake or somebody makes a mistake or it just isn't tuned right, you're done. And so the intensities, I feel like in certain areas is a lot higher in drag racing. And when it's not going right, as a driver, I can't fix it. I can't change how I drive the car to make it react different. That's not how drag racing works. So you kind of feel helpless as a driver of not being able to help fix it because I don't have the knowledge and I'm not smart enough to know how to tune a Top Fuel car. But being able to go there and see Dominic and for him to look at me and it hits a reset button in your brain, for him to do that, he's going to be a valuable asset to this team all year. Because there's going to be weekends where it's not going right and you're going to go back there and you're going to see him and you're going to come back to that pit. And I remember when I did that at Bradenton, I went back to the pit area and they knew I was pissed when I left. They knew I was really mad, really frustrated. And when I came back, everybody was on edge and I came back and I was relaxed and I had a smile on my face and some of them thought something fishy's going on. But when I told them where I went and what happened and they saw that, it's like, wow. And the whole demeanor of the team changed and they got their heads up again. And we still just went through the work and kept doing our deal. And it still was a bad week, but my demeanor changed their demeanor as well. So I feel like having him there at the racetrack, that's what we dreamed of for Leah and I. We dreamed of having him at the track with us because we want our family with us. Mm-hmm. And not everybody has that ability. I mean, guys that race sprint cars on the road, they don't always have that ability. And NASCAR drivers with families and IndyCar drivers, they don't always have the luxury of having their family with them on the weekends. And I get half of that with my wife, who's the driver and works on the car. But now having Dominic there, I mean, that kind of fills that equation out and gives us something that we're very fortunate to have with us on the weekends.
Hey, Tony, was I right when you cut the umbilical cord? Did it kind of feel like a half cooked asparagus when you cut it?
I've never half cooked asparagus, first of all, but it wasn't fun by any means. There wasn't anything fun about that. And I didn't screw around. I'm like, I got it wide open. I got it crammed in there as far as I could, one and done. It was chop suey gone.
Chop suey gone.
Yeah.
And you're happy that you did that, right?
No, not at all. She's happy I did that. So that's great. There was nothing fun about that. Now, I'm sure down the road it'll be like, oh, this is great. I was the one that I detached him from his mom. There's going to be a point where he's going to go, man, why didn't you do that sooner? I don't know what he's going to say, but it was cool to be a part of that. And it was cool to do the dad stuff. But I was totally happy just sitting in the lobby with a small cooler with some sandwiches and a couple beverages and come in when it was over. But I was very grateful and glad that I was in the delivery room with her. I tell people this all the time, and I know women do this every day, but I mean, my wife is a true badass. Yep. When you walk in the hospital room and the second on Saturday night after the last round of qualifying, I told the guys, I said, I don't know if I'm going to see you tomorrow, but I hope I get to see you tomorrow. And that's the way I left the racetrack with the guys. They knew that there was a shot we weren't running the next day. It all depended on what happened. And when I walked in the hospital room and I couldn't even tell you what the first thing out of her mouth was because it was the second thing she said just so caught me off guard. She goes, what is the drop dead time you need to leave here in the morning to be at the track on time? Second thing out of her mouth. It's not, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. Oh my God, this, oh my gosh, that. I don't even know if she said she was glad to see me when I got there. She said, what is the drop dead time you have to leave here to be back at Pomona at the track to be on time? That was her mindset before having this child. So she is an immortal badass in my eyes for multiple reasons and more reasons than anybody will ever realize. All the things that she does and what she does well. But she's pretty cool.
I know so many people wanted you to win that Pomona finale because of Dom being born that weekend, but it's so much better now that he was actually a part of your first win, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. It's we would love to have won it at Pomona because of that. And we actually thought about that. It was funny because Neil won his first drag race at Pomona as a co-crew chief. And so, I mean, for us, there were a lot of reasons Pomona would have been that extra special to win that. But to be able to get our first win and Dominic's in those victory lane photos, even though he's not going to remember it, down the road, he'll see the photos and go, why was I so
pictures?
I said, it's
why was I so
nonstop. So, but he's
why was I so fat? It's because you're an adorable baby, and babies have baby fat. But I know people do say that. Wow, I was such a fat baby. It's like, who cares?
I think
you're in victory lane.
The fatter he gets, everybody's like, he is so healthy. I gained 5 pounds, and Leah looks at me and goes, "You're going to die in 2 years." I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't understand how can he get fatter and it's great, and I get fatter and it's wrong? It's double standard here.
It's age. That's just all age. we don't wear it as well, I guess.
No,
not at all. I mean, poor kid. Some of his onesies, he can't barely get his legs in there, and she's like, he's so healthy. I'm like, are you kidding me? So,
maybe you need onesies, Tony, because if you're putting your leg through onesies instead of just through regular man clothes, then maybe she'll be like, oh, honey, you're so healthy.
My clothes fit, and she's still telling me I look fat. So I don't know.
Oh, God.
She's very athletic, as we all know.
She is. Yes.
She can work out for a week, and it looks like she's been in a gym for 3 straight months. She can go lay in the sun for 5 minutes, and it looks like she's been out every day getting a tan for a week. It's just a freak of nature.
She's your freak of nature, so well done.
Get some rest, my friend.
Yes, and celebrate.
Yeah, I don't know what day it's going to be, but we're definitely. I said I was going to tie one on when I won it, and I thought I was going to tie it on with the guys. But man, you want to talk about a weird day? I mean,
yeah,
you got John, you got Al Pierce, you got the guy that owned the truck team there, and that's going into the weekend, and then. I was sitting there, I was just getting suited up, but we leave the radio volume up that has the broadcast from the tower at the track. We're listening to that, and Dallas Glenn just won Pro Stock. He's talking about a guy that passed away, or somebody that passed away, somebody else that got hurt in a car wreck. And I'm like, oh my God, how much more do we have to go through with this shit?
Yeah.
And crazy. But man, it's it definitely made the celebrations a little more somber.
Tony, buddy, we love you. Thank you so much for this, man.
You too, guys.